Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission until we lose the will to live. To review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence, including this one. To seek out new guests and make them equally as depressed as we are. To boldly go where every other YouTube Star Trek based show has gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers. It is I, Captain Goodwill of the USS Adequate, and joining me as ever is the Sadgesian from the planet Honk.
Honk.
Science Officer Synoiz.
How long are we going? How long have we been going?
2 minutes.
Okay, cool. Neelix should be on the Epstein list, right? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trekking Up North. It's just bleakness, like the sheer bleakness of this episode, and just me putting it onto the Dabo Wheel of Shame, and then watching it back and realizing that it's even worse than I actually remembered it. Just being like, this is a shocking episode.
Maybe bring the energy down, guys. Yes, recommendation.
Yeah, that's it. Not in terms of like writing, not in terms of what it's doing, but in terms of just Christ. This is the code of honor of Voyager. That's my bold statement. That is my like. This has not aged even slightly.
No, this is not aged well. Oh God.
Why is the Kanar gone?
We put this off, guys. We put this off.
We faked being busy.
I left the country.
You left your job.
I left my job. I left the country. And then I got not one, 2 jobs to prevent myself from review. I even thought at the end of New Life and New Civilizations, should I just spin the Dabo Wheel? Should we just
forget?
Should we
just forget that episode?
Should we retcon the Dabo Wheel of shit? But I thought no, because you guys are continuity whores, so you would know exactly that we. Oh God, I can't believe we're doing this.
I'm just like, I don't know how to talk about this episode without getting demonetized. That's the epitome of the situation.
I won't ask how you are because you are as I feel.
We had viewers like, how is everyone else feeling? Like, tell us in the chat how your week has been, how you're feeling. Both me and Goodwill, before we started, were talking about things are tough. We are literally masking for days right now. We're so busy and worn out and just done with everything.
We are not only on.
We massively enjoy this. We massively enjoy doing Trekking Up North. It is the idea of just going like, wow, I just need to say no to a lot of people and just sit down and watch TV.
We are not on the spectrum this week, folks. We are the entire fucking rainbow this week.
We're so on the spectrum this week. We are Treasure Island dizzy. That is a reference for the older ones amongst you. You know, it's like, Christ.
Right, I'm laughing. Every time I laugh, I feel dizzy. That is how drained my body is at the moment. I feel like if I laugh, I will pass out live on air. If you guys will check the live chat, you will see a deliciously pinned message that contains a leak. A
leak? What kind of leek? Is it big? Is it vegetable-y? Could you make a nice soup out of it?
It contains.
Are there any bugs in it that Neelix might get angry about?
No, just. I'm not even going to say it because I'll get demonetized. There is. Woo! We thought that other episode the other week was bad. There is a link pinned to the live chat. That is a link to the brand new, shiny, sparkling, Trekking Up North Discord server. We have become the Discord kittens. Meow, meow. Daddy wants a sort of a milk. We have got a new Discord. It is absolutely free to join. We will not ask any money from you, though if you want to donate, that's absolutely okay. You might pay?
Yeah, I know I might ask for money.
Oh, you might ask for... Oh,
ask me money and I won't reply to your messages. That's how it works.
Please.
It is really good.
Yeah.
Join this Discord. We had one with Nerdy Up North, but we didn't really use it because you had to join everything to join any of it. So it was a bit of an intense one, I think. But yeah, this is a dedicated one that Goodwill has set up.
By all means.
And I occasionally pop into.
By all means, join the Nerdy Up North Discord, but I summarize it as Normandy in the 40s. There is a lot going on.
There is a lot going on that.
And there's a few French people. But we have got our own Discord server. We have got our own Facebook page. So that means Captain Goodwill needs to do some updating on descriptions down below. But we are back. We are live. And we are reviewing classic Star Trek once again. I have dusted off the only uniform that currently fits because I have gained... I have gained a bit of weight, so the bike will be in use pretty soon. But enough about my past relationships.
Have you been overeating? Have you been having mashed potato mixed with soil? Are you going through the Elogium?
I've had 6, and I wish for a Talaxian to mate with me.
That's a hell of a Friday night. I'll give it that. Wow.
Do you know what I was going to do? Do you know what
normal men can't handle that much disappointment?
Do you know what I lack inside is I'm more than make up for and crying. What I was going to do, I do actually have a signed autograph from Ethan Phillips as Neelix.
That poor man.
But I thought, no, the amuse-bouche of alcohol is far more relevant for this episode.
Is that Tia Maria? Do you have... Is that actually... How do you own Tia Maria? Oh, no. I don't have a selection quite like yours back then. I've got just red wine and vodka. I think that's it. I think I've got some Baileys left over from last Christmas. Because does Baileys actually die? Does it ever, like... But it's Baileys and cockroaches that are going to survive us, isn't it?
Much like... my will to live after watching Elogium. It dies quickly if it's left unopened. Hello to
the chat, Chris.
Hello to everybody.
Well, tidy yourself up.
Yes, please. Someone give him some Kleenex. Hello to Beth. Hello to Trekcommendations in the chat. Hello to everyone who is watching live and or recorded. Yes, we are here to review Elogium from season 2 of Star Trek Voyager. Now, oh boy, this is not a good episode, man. This was a difficult episode to enjoy, watch, tolerate, eat during. I believe I sent a message to Science Officer Synoiz during my watch, and my quote was, "Jesus fucking Christ."
You did. You sent me, and it's just a picture of Neelix.
Okay, just made a Discord account. Hope you appreciate. Trekcommendations is joined the Discord. Thank you so much. You will regret it. But yes, Elogium. Let's just get down to brass. Let's just rip off the band-aid. Let's eat the dirt. Let's consume the mashed potato, and let's get our feet massaged by a holographic doctor. This just has everything that it shouldn't have, man, in this
This
episode.
is this is you know how we talk about Trek a lot of the time and we go like, oh, that dated badly, or oh, that was acceptable in the 90s or whatnot. I I don't I'd love to remember how I felt the first time I watched this because like I say, I watched TNG when I was a kid, but then Voyager was the first one as an adult that I watched all the way through.
Yeah.
And I remember not being that bothered about this episode, but that was like 20 odd years ago. And it's just a really weird one now, watching it just being like, how did they think this script was okay? Like, as in, because I don't know what the themes are in this episode. Like, the theme is essentially sex,
Yeah.
okay? But then they've
Yeah.
picked entirely the wrong people for it. So you have it where you have Chakotay being high and mighty, being like, I don't think people should be having relationships because I'm not
Shut
having a
up,
relationship.
Chakotay!
And then you've
Shut
got
up!
and then you've got like Neelix being genuinely, if you are a fan of, because obviously, as you know, if you watch the show, I'm not a fan of Neelix the character. Ethan
No.
Phillips, wonderful
No.
actor, but Neelix is what the worst character in all of Voyager, and I genuinely hate them for like they don't bring anything to the table and all they do is cause problems. They are that person where they just go, "Hey, you know what? Should we just have this wild ape that we bring with us that causes loads of chaos and makes plots happen? Yeah, let's bring him along." And
But
you just
that's
go,
you.
"Why that is." And I'm just like, "Goodwill, why have you not shot me in the head yet?" Like
I
that
can't
is a
find
simple
the
thing.
bullets. Um,
But yeah, but this is such a bad episode for Neelix. Like he comes across so toxic in this episode, and I'll go into it later.
admittedly, I went in with fresh eyes. I hadn't seen this episode in about 5 years. So I went in with fresh eyes, a new perspective, and a very tolerable attitude towards this episode. Like with any episode that we get, I will give it the benefit of the doubt. I sat down. I mean, admittedly, like we have said, we have both had a week. Okay. Some people know, some people don't, and I ain't saying anything, but we've had a week. Okay. So I sat down, I had a little bit of an amuse bouche in front of me to enjoy little picky bits, as the well off people say. And I struggled through this episode, man. I genuinely struggled to find a theme, to find anything remotely positive about this. There is a quote from Tuvok that has been burned into my cranium for the rest of time. Okay, and we'll get to that later on because I'm pretty sure Science Officer Synoiz has got that written down, framed next to Tuvok's image on his wall right now. But they could have done this so much better.
What is the quote? Because I've got a lot of things written down.
It appears we have lost our sex appeal.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah,
That one.
that is things you didn't expect Tuvok to say, but it makes sense.
Things I didn't expect Star Trek Voyager to produce is this episode.
Well, I think the theme of this episode is reproduction. Like the
It
theme
is,
of it
yes.
is about family. It's about and it brings it in lots of different things. They encounter a species and go through the mating rites of that particular species. They have obviously what's happening with Kez and Neelix in this episode. They have Chakotay wondering about fraternization between the crew, and we have Ensign Wildman who just appears in this whole episode, and then has loads and loads of mentions, and you're just going, she's either going to die or have something major plot wise happen.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's
exactly.
that horrible thing of going, you could have foreshadowed this much better. You could have had her appearing. This is literally the first time she's on screen, and then everyone's mentioning her like she's been there forever, and you're like, no, bad writing.
Also, who gave Chakotay permission to be the nun of Voyager?
Well, I think the first thing, because obviously the episode starts with Chakotay going to a turbo lift, and then there's two crewmates just snogging in there, and he's just like, oh well, blah, 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 being a bit uptight about it and whatnot. And then later he speaks to Janeway about it, and he's like, there's lots of fraternization between the crew. I think we need to have a word with them about that. And she's like, well, we can't really mandate it because that's not really what Starfleet's about. Just let them get on with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the thing though, he's kind of talking about, and you can see that there's this manipulative streak to him where he's kind of going, he's like these MAGA senators and stuff, where they're kind of going like, oh, well, no, no,
Oh,
but like, they're sort of, oh, well, we need to ban this sort of thing, unless it's for me, because he basically just goes, oh, we shouldn't have fraternization between the crew, and then immediately goes to her and just goes, have you ever thought about, mating with someone kind of thing? As if going like, oh, but it's fine if me and you can get it on, like, but is it okay? And it comes across so horrible and cringe, and I don't like it.
it's Chakotay strikes me in this episode as a person going, we should ban this, but has the Grinder app.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is.
Disconnected.
Down with gays, and then it's just like, you have Grinder on your phone. Shut up.
You have more than Grinder. But disconnected, demonetized. But we
Speaking of things I want to see on Grinder, the shed has arrived.
Oh,
Welcome to the chat, David.
he's in
Good old David.
the magnificent Canadian shed, fully fitted out with soffits and French doors. It is David Jones, our favourite Canadian actor of Star Trek. For those that don't realise, he does live in Canada, aka nice France.
Nice France.
Nice France. But we just a bit of lore for people. We'll get to Keiko later on, it's fine. But we so I think it starts to hit Janeway that obviously, she thought, oh, I thought we could get the crew home in a matter of weeks or months, but then the reality is beginning to hit her that, potentially they might be there for the whole 75 years. And we might have to have a generational ship. And that's that's what they talk about later on. But
that is the plot of the episode. Effectively, that is the takeaway from this episode. Them realizing, oh, we need to start planning for if we don't get back relatively soon. Like, that is what this episode does in terms of, the overarching Voyager plot. And it also kind of goes, hey, Kez and Neelix might be fucking terrible for each other. But that's not a major plot line.
I think it just emphasizes this episode how problematic their relationship actually is. And even the script was giving me cringy vibes, like, but you're too young to be pregnant, and I'm just like,
well, this is the problem. I want to go into it more, but we have the whole thing of, like, with Neelix. Obviously, the whole thing is, I keep making jokes that, gonna say it for the first time, that Neelix is a space nonce, because he is effectively a grown-ass man dating a 1-year-old, like, girl from this species. And that to me is a bit creepy. And obviously the argument people have is like, oh, but her species matures quicker than everyone else and stuff like that. And you're like, yes, but she's still 4 years, even in her own species, off puberty. Like,
oh god,
yeah, and that's what this episode does. And it's got that kind of thing of him being like, sort of, oh, I find you really attractive and I'm going to be jealous about you and stuff like that. But also, I'm going to point out just how young you are all the time and how naive you are. And it's like, so you're acknowledging that they're a child, but you're also acknowledging that you're, like, sexually attracted to them. And it's like going, oh, this is a can of worms. And it's, I don't know how to argue out of this box.
That whole scene in sickbay when they finally realise what she's going through the Elogium. And she goes, oh, but I've not hit puberty yet. I'm not even 2.
Yeah, I'm barely even 2, I think it is.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's that kind of, and I don't know, I'm going to go into it later, but a lot of the stuff where it shows, it's very good and nuanced, the stuff between Neelix and Kez, but I can't understand why the writers did it. Like, there's loads of scenes in this that are kind of, you can see that they're meant to be played for comedy, but it just falls flat, and it makes it really awkward, because you literally have, like, these 2 comedy scenes, like, back to back pretty much, where Neelix finds Kez in a room, basically sort of goes through her things effectively and finds all the bowls and things. And
Of
then when
mashed
she starts
potato.
yeah, but when she starts resisting and going, no, I don't want to go to sick bay, he literally grabs her and sort of picks her up and like takes her, like forcefully carries her while she's screaming. And I'm just going like, okay, I know this is meant to be comedy and like a bit slapstick, but it falls flat. And I'm just like, whoa. So Neelix is like, hey, I'm just gonna do whatever. And then when they're in sick bay and the doctor is trying to help, Neelix is literally just talking over her about everything, you know, saying that he knows best about everything. And it's just, oh, it's so terrible. Like, and it's meant to be comedy. It's meant to be him being like, oh, her temperature's up. Oh, you must bring it down. Oh, you must do this, and oh, do something. And it's meant to be like he's panicking, and it's meant to be funny. And whether it's Ethan Phillips' performance, whether it's how the scene is set, whether it's the musical choices, it just falls flat, and it just makes him seem like the most horrible, toxic person in the world.
I mean, do you feel that even in the 90s, even in 1996 or 95, 96, this was an acceptable episode?
That's what I was saying before. I don't know. Because I know that I watched this originally and didn't think what I think now. And I don't know if maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. Maybe I wasn't as mature. I definitely wasn't as mature as I am now because I was probably like 18 or something. But it's the idea of.
You were 18. Oh my God.
I think so. We're what, like 25 years? 20.
I was 7.
Years?
I was 7. I would love. The thing is, though, excuse me.
No, I was literally just, what's that noise? Because I've got my headphones in. It's obviously the storm that we have outside blowing.
I was very interested, but I ran out of time in prepping this show. I was very interested to try and find any reviews of this episode from the time it aired to see if the reviews at the time, the critics at the time, agreed that it may have been a little bit of a problematic episode, or whether they had a different view of it. It would have been very interesting to take their views from 30 years ago, you know, and whether they agreed or disagreed with it. It's just, but I mean,
I would say that it holds still that I think TNG's problematic episode is, of course, Code of Honor.
Yes.
DS9's one, I would say, is Profit and Lace, you know,
yes,
with how that is perceived nowadays. And I'd say that this is Voyager's. This is the one where you just go, I don't know what you were intending, but this does not look good, you know.
It just, I think it could.
Hi, Peach. Welcome to the chat. Those are
welcome in,
smashing trousers. That's a smashing blouse, Sarah.
Those are smashing trousers.
Joke's on her.
They're
I'm not
jeans.
wearing anything.
Joke's on you. Look, I'm wearing jeans.
You have feet? It's been so long.
Yes, I need the doctor to rub them. But
before you can get pregnant, is that how your week's going?
Oh, if I don't win
Does
the
that
lottery,
make me your daddy?
If I don't win the lottery tonight, I'm walking into the sea. I've completely forgot what I was going to say. That's right. I feel, right, and I know we're going to dart all over the place with this, but I feel the spaceborne entities as well was, I think they were trying to separate themselves from that TNG episode where the spaceborne entity pretends the Enterprise is its mother and they have to sour the milk.
Yeah.
I feel that they tried to like differentiate from that, and you know, and in saying that these smaller creatures, they're not like babies, they're not trying to suckle or anything. They are sexually attracted to Voyager, and the bigger entity is the rival. And that, and I mean, these are just CGI characters, but that again makes me very uncomfortable because they are very. I thought they were babies. So to see like this giant creature have many of these other smaller creatures suckling on it, And to find out it's sort of a mating thing,
I think the issue is with the episode that plot line there is actually, it could have been funny, but they don't
yeah,
take it that way. They don't
no,
take it as, oh God, these creatures are trying to mate with the ship.
yeah.
They take it in a really serious scientific way, and I don't really have a problem with it as a plot. I think it could have been done better, but I don't really dislike it. But the issue is that then it make them having that as a serious thing makes the Neelix plot line and the Kes plot line more serious in turn. And then it kind of tries to make it lighthearted in bits, and you're like going, no, no, none of this works. It all just comes out really serious, and we're talking about sex on Star Trek.
The
No, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit of a fuddy
it
duddy there.
just like it was accelerating her development and her growth, and she wanted to go through the Elogium, and then there was the discussions of, does she want to conceive with Neelix? Because if she doesn't conceive with Neelix, this will be her only chance to bear a child. And if she doesn't bear that, she'll never be able to have it. I feel, as much as I hate to say it, I feel that the competition between Neelix and Tom Paris could have been brought in a little bit more there, where if Neelix was having apprehension about being a father, that Kes turns to someone else, and that someone else being Tom Paris, further deepening the jealousy that Neelix has for their, like their friendship and stuff like that. I feel that could have been brought in a little bit more, but I am really struggling with the Kes side of this episode, because it genuinely, in all seriousness, it does genuinely make me feel uncomfortable. And I know the actress was in her 20s and that's fine, but in the context of in-universe, they treat her like a child in sickbay. Captain Janeway holds her like a child in sickbay. And then there's a discussion about conceiving and having a child with Neelix, and it is wrong. It is uncomfortable.
I think it's like the factor of, it could have been better written where they did a parallel of, is it talking about the horrors of teen pregnancy, like sort of someone, but they don't go in that direction, and yet it seems like a lot of the interactions are kind of that, where it's like going, oh well, we're here for you and stuff, but like it's up to you to decide whether you want to get the abortion or whatnot, and it's like, but it isn't like, and it's one of these weird things where the metaphor doesn't work, the analogy doesn't work as well.
Not a lot works.
And it's the fact that like everyone, I think the best thing about this episode, because when I first looked for this episode, I forgot it was season 2. I genuinely thought this was season 3, and that this was one of the run-ups to them breaking up, like Neelix and Kes. And it is, but I thought it was a much later on in the show, before Kes goes, because think about it, like everybody lets Kes down in this episode.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like, sort of, like even the Doctor, who is her father figure, still has a scene with her where she's begging him for help. She's going, hey, look, I've got this boyfriend who only cares about himself, who isn't able to help me at all. Janeway, who's not taking a position and just going, I'll give you hugs and stuff, but I can't really advise you. And then the Doctor's like, I know nothing about this. Here's some statistics about how some races do stuff. And the fact that she's just so alone, and every time she tries to open up to people, they just fob her off or talk about their feelings. Like Neelix being like, oh, but I don't want a child, and blah, blah, blah. And you're just going, and it's so upsetting. Like, no wonder Kes went, hey, I need to leave this ship because it's just not for me. Like, this situation is just, so I kind of understand how she is in Fury when she comes back and she's just kind of like, you know what, actually, all that Starfleet crap was bullshit.
It was incredibly toxic. Like, the ship is incredibly toxic,
Like, Janeway is incredibly controlling. She's incredibly like, hey, I'm the mother figure, now you do what I say. And Neelix is, oh fucking hell! Like Neelix is just a nightmare, you know.
I feel I'm gonna propose this now, right? I feel this episode would have been much better if they did away with the whole Elogium thing. They didn't focus on Kes and Neelix at all, and they focused on Ensign Wildman.
Yeah.
So you would have had the scene with the two crew members making out, the whole discussion about fraternization amongst the crew, the realization that, hey, we could literally be traveling home for 75 years. We need this ship to continue that journey, and it may result in becoming a generational ship where our forebears, is it forebears? Our offspring are the ones that make it home. Okay. And then but there could have been this whole debate and stuff like that. And it could have been that Ensign Wildman was keeping this quiet, was keeping her pregnancy quiet. Because, you know, her husband's on DS9, they're in the Delta Quadrant, they're alone, they don't know when they're going to get home. She's alone, she's scared, and she's having to deal with the reality of raising a baby on board a small ship with a small crew 70,000 light years from her husband, right? That would have been fantastic. And then what would have happened is she's gone this long, you know, a year or so in hiding or whatever, or I don't know. I think this is still like in months for Star Trek Voyager.
It's really,
so she could have
really weird because I had to check the dates on it because I was just like, hang on. If
well, the star date is 4/8.
It's the same star date, so it's
the star date is
4/8 later.
Yeah, so the star date is 4/8, and if you use some Trek maths and everything like that, 4/8 is 1995. So 4/7 was TNG 94, 4/8 95, 4/9 96, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So this is only a few months after they've left the Alpha Quadrant, right? So she could have been hiding this, which she could have known she was pregnant, but she, you know, oh, I'm only on Voyager for 3 weeks, and then I can muster out of the service, have the baby, blah, 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 blah. The ship is not meant for families and stuff. So she could have hidden the pregnancy. They could have encountered this spaceborne species, and then it could have affected her DNA, her metabolism, and then we could have seen her having to admit, I'm actually pregnant.
You know what? Oh, sorry, carry on. I'll talk about
and you know, it could have the story could have been Janeway, Chakotay, the crew realizing, you know, because they up until this point, they are still of the hope they'll be home within a few weeks or a few months. They'll find a way and they will get home. And even Janeway says it in this episode that, you know, she's clinging on to the hope that it won't be long until the home. And then it's the realization that it might actually take them 75 years, and the crew are going to have to start reproducing. They're going to have to start having babies because they're going to need crew to replace the ones that pass away that are too old or anything like that. And they could have used that arm of the story. They could have done that to have the crew see, this is my whole problem with Voyager, right? My whole problem with Voyager, fantastic series, right? Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Voyager, fantastic series. But my whole problem is they are in the Delta Quadrant for 7 years, all right? The crew, the costumes, the ship inside and out looks like it's just rolled off the factory line, even up to season 7, right?
That was always Trek, though.
But my biggest bugbear with this, right? My hugest bugbear with this is they went 7 years without a Starfleet pit stop. They could have, you know, we could have seen the ship, you know, they've done their best. It's looking run down. It's looking tired. It's looking weathered. And, you know, this could have been this could have been the beginning of the realization that they're in it for the long haul, and that, oh shit, this ship's not designed for families. It's not designed to have kids. They could look at, well, we need a school. We need to refit quarters so it accommodates families. We need to do this. We need to do that. You know, making them think long term that shit, we actually are going to be here for 70 years and we need to really plan ahead at this point, because at the moment they're just like, nope, we're fine, we're just going to sail through the galaxy, violating various prime directives, murdering hybrids, blah 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 blah. And it just, do you know what I mean? But do you see what I mean though? Do you see my thought process?
You know what?
It could have been a brilliant story.
I would take that, but my spin on it, which coincides with yours at various points, is I would make it where it has at the beginning that they have the discussion about where Chakotay is going like, hey, the ship can't take this. If everyone starts having babies, we're not going to be able to actually like deal with this on this ship. Like, we don't want to do that. And very much having a stance of going, we need to stop this happening. So basically, maybe they implement something on the ship of going, hey, sorry about this, but you can't actually have children, like we're not allowing children because we can't really deal with it, kind of thing. We'll be home soon, we're working on it, kind of thing. And then it kind of brings up that kind of like, hey, can you tell people, can you do that, like, and say to the crew, hey, you're not allowed relationships, you're not allowed to have kids and stuff. And then underneath that you have Wildman, who knows she's pregnant, and the doctor who knows that she's pregnant, and the doctor going, hey, I can't talk about this because confidentiality, but it's important, and her being like, do I need to get rid of this to comply with that? And it's basically it affecting her work, it like doing all of that. And then as the episode goes on, we get like, well, the conclusion at the end is basically like hey, how the hell did we ever get to this point where we were telling people what to do with their bodies, like what they can and can't do with their bodies, like what a stupid rule. And then they kind of go, and that's when the realization that they are in it for the long haul. They need to start thinking about this rather than just being like, hey, heads down, we're going to be home soon, lads. And then and on the back of that, we have Kez going, do I want to have kids? And starts thinking about that. And that leads her into, and that can be a B plot of it, her having discussions with Neelix about going like, hey, maybe we could have kids, and her realizing this relationship isn't what it's cracked up to be. And then maybe she's been forced to become more mature than she should be, because she has. She's like she's a nurse effectively, like, a science officer aboard this alien ship, the only one of her entire species there, and she's not even 2 at this point. And it's, or just over 2. That's how I would take it. But like they're saying in the chat, that was a bit too bold for Voyager, because we definitely had DS9 that really pushed the boat out, and then with Voyager they were like, let's just reel that in a little. I think
though,
it's controversial.
I think it would have been a very defining moment for Voyager at this stage of its run. I think this could have cemented it as like, we are really alone and we are really isolated, and we need to think of the big picture here. Like Recommendations just said there,
refusing to do that, and then refusing to face that would be the thing, and then at the end being
the
like,
denial of the situation.
We have to have this conversation, like fuck.
As Recommendations said there,
happens, but
as Recommendations said there, modifying the ship with parts they pick up on the way. Every season, it's a new ship model you can sell. Yeah, but you have to realize in the 90s, CGI was incredibly expensive. Models were very expensive, so that's why the ship... I mean, again, it's the whole weathering argument. Like, they didn't do that because every season they would have had to completely change the CGI model, which costs a bomb of money to do. But it just would have made it a little bit more authentic. But I just think our pitch for, both of our pitches for these episodes...
That's what you would do.
Yeah,
that's what you would do.
But both of our pitches for this episode on how you can make it better or how you could skew it to a different character, I just think it just would have worked, and it would have been the real. You could have took the realization of the situation, and you could have taken that and addressed it with every one of the ensemble cast, the crew.
Yeah.
You could have took that with Harry Kim. You could have took that with Janeway, Paris, Tuvok and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, Tuvok's like my life expectancy. Metaphor. Yeah, Tuvok's like my life expectancy is this. I am very confident that I can make it home. But then, Chakotay is like, well, I might not live that long. And they're considering their own mortality. They're considering what legacy they leave behind. What do they want? What knowledge do they want to impart? What is, what do they want to bring home?
the question that is posed to Kez of if she can only have a child this one time during the Elogium,
Yeah,
and she has to make that choice, and whether she wants to have kids, that should have been posed to the whole crew and have all of them being like, "Hey, do I want to have kids?" Like,
yeah,
and the whole conversation could be taken as a sort of stance on like we make laws nowadays, where
yeah,
we put a blanket ban on abortion, we put a blanket ban on like trans people, we put a blanket ban on protesting and stuff. But then it's the reality of seeing how it actually affects people that makes us go, what have we done? Like,
yeah.
actually, on paper, oh yeah, we're going to fix everything, we've come up with this law anti-abortion, but then you just go, but what about this, what about the victim, what about, like, like the person who didn't know what they were doing, and you just go, yeah, as soon as you get to real world situations, you know you need to be able to cater for that. And that's what I think the episode should have done, that they kind of realize, oh, we've decided this and people are for it, people are against it, but then when it's actually Wildman, like a member of the crew that they all know and love, and go, oh, she's pregnant, and now we're genuinely saying you need to get rid of that because of this silly rule we made.
Or it could be that, because of the size of the ship and the crew complement, it could be that only a handful of people are allowed to reproduce at a
Yeah,
time.
that's it. And then who
And
does it, who gets the
who
right to
does
do
it?
it,
Yeah, exactly. And it could, is it a lottery? Is it, is it mandated? Is it, there's a load of things that they could have explored with this. And I
Yeah.
mean, we're discussing this because we
Don't want to
genuinely
discuss Elogium.
do not like this episode. We always say all Trek is good Trek, okay? No matter what. But yeah, we have to admit, and every Trekkie has to admit, in every series, no matter what, in every series, there is a bad episode. There might be one or two, but there is always one, at least, bad episode. And I would say this is up there with Threshold. This is up there with Code of Honor, Sub Rosa. I think. I mean, this is probably going to be. This is going to be a controversial. This is going to be a controversial
Did
opinion.
light that candle?
This is going to be a controversial opinion. Where is my candle? Oh, there it is. I think this is worse than Sub Rosa.
Yeah. Sub Rosa is stupid. Like, Sub Rosa has this sort of campy kind of layer to it where you're like, oh, this is bollocks. Okay, cool, I can get into this. But like, this doesn't have that. This has full seriousness that when it tries to put comedy into it, it falls flat. It's Sub
The
Rosa, you kind of know what you're
comedy.
doing.
The comedy in this is so tone deaf that it
Yeah.
makes the whole situation worse. And I think what's compounded is you have Kez being treated like a woman in one scene, and then Kez treated like a literal child in another, and it's very uncomfortable to approach the whole relationship and conception and birth and everything. I just it genuinely made me feel uncomfortable tonight watching this. And I very rarely say that about Star Trek. I do very rarely say that. Thanks for thanks.
Stropping. Thanks for stropping by, Chris.
Thank you for dropping by. But it just I really do not want to discuss this episode. I really don't. And this is the first for me.
There's a lot more to discuss on it.
Yes,
though,
of course, yeah.
But it is the idea of, like, I will say, okay, there are some good points on this episode, okay, because like
really.
Well, I'm going to say the highlights of this episode for me is obviously the Tuvok conversation where we get to see Tuvok talking about what it is to be a parent. And it's a great moment for Tuvok because he's such a stalwart character in the series where he's always got good advice. He's always like the sage person on the crew, and it's why it's so annoying that he's often used for comedy value. Like, same way as Spock, where you're like, hey Spock, it's Spock, the person that they would all be dead if he wasn't there.
The deadpan comedian role. Oh
Yeah, and then he's like, it's like they would all totally be dead if Spock wasn't on the crew.
Yeah,
And then he's constantly the butt of every joke because he's an alien and he's different. And then
yeah,
Voyager does exactly the same thing with Tuvok. Um, but it's wonderful him talking about like how being a parent isn't about it being fun. It isn't about it being like rewarding. It's about it, the idea of just the feeling like that you can't quite describe the. And obviously, any parents in watching the show in the chat, like tell me how it is, how you would describe it, and whether you resonate with what Tuvok says in this episode about like the what parenting brings, but that you shouldn't do it in order to help yourself. Because Neelix is like, oh well, maybe it'd be fun to have a kid, and it's like, well, that's not really the point. If you're expecting it to be like enjoyable
yeah,
or something,
yeah.
or you're expecting it something out of it other than being a parent,
And, and it's like
But and
they don't
the
think of
other
the
point,
implications of the crew as well if they did have a child.
that's it. Yeah, it's one of those weird things. I mean, yes, it would probably stop them having to eat Neelix food, which is only ever a good thing. But yeah, the other point I want to make is how good Kez's acting is in this. I love
Yes,
Kez's acting in this. Like, it's the idea of when we just go, and it's usually something that we only see with supporting actors on Trek because they don't tend to go so hard with mainline characters.
yeah.
But where you get a supporting character, like in Duet, one of my favorites, where you just get a character who goes, I know exactly what my job is and I'm going to nail it. And Kez fully puts across in this episode like the all the different emotions she's feeling, like the fear, the like the shock, the sort of apprehension, the that and that childlike, because like we say, she's in her 20s, the actress, and probably hopped up on drugs, but enough about that. But it's the idea of like how I don't know, like how sort of childlike and how innocent she becomes through this episode, through her
Yeah,
fear. And it's wonderfully done. Like,
yeah.
I love Kez as a character, and she never got used enough. And I know the actress was difficult, but it's this idea of there was so much potential there. And this is an episode where you're like, and in Warlord, where we just go, look, here's her acting chops. Why are we not doing more with this?
It was,
Why are we putting Neelix in episodes rather than her,
but you have to realize this was the Berman era. Kez was the
Hmm.
token babe, but again, having a
Who's a
two-year-old
child?
who was a
Like, what the hell
child,
is that choice?
and she didn't resonate with the audience, and thus was replaced. And
Yeah.
it was either Garrett Wang or Jennifer Lynn.
I think it was Jennifer Lynn, yeah.
Jennifer Lynn. It's either Kim or Kes that have to go, and they chose Kes. And it's a shit. We'll never get to explore anything with Kes. We'll never get to explore anything more.
Yeah.
Other than Fury. But her acting in this it's absolutely tremendous. The fear, the anxiety, the worry that she has all the way through the episode, the way that she, you can feel her pain.
Yeah.
As essentially she's been put in this situation that she doesn't want to be in right now, but she has no other choice, and she's clearly not prepared, and Neelix is not prepared, and the crew
Yeah.
is not prepared. And she has to make this decision. I think, to add to what we were discussing earlier,
Mm.
I think it would have been brave if, going back to the discussion about reproduction and the size of the ship and stuff like that, if Janeway interjected
Mm.
and said, we don't have the resources for a child, we don't have the ability, or so. If they were taking it in a more serious manner, if they were taking Voyager as a self-contained vessel, far away from home, lack of maintenance, lack of size, lack of resources, replicator rations and stuff like that, if there was those sort of issues, that Janeway says, no, I know this is your only time, we cannot have it on the ship.
Yeah.
I
And
think
then
that,
and then it becomes a question of body autonomy. And
yeah,
that's the plot that it should have been, but
yeah,
it was the 90s. I have a feeling that they wouldn't be allowed to do it.
it just could have
Would have been
been so much better. It could have been so much better. It could have tackled real issues in a serious tone without the need for the god awful comedy set pieces that we have throughout the.
But we've got
It
it in
makes me
the chat
depressed.
recommendation saying, I'm a parent with two kids, boy and girl, like Tuvok's line about how he taught both his sons and daughter. Because that's very much that's the wonderful thing about the Tuvok conversation. The fact that he's like, Neelix is like, oh, but what would I teach a daughter? And Tuvok's like, why does it, like, I actually highlighted it, where it's the idea of, yeah, it's like, Tuvok says, why would it be any different than having a son?
Yeah,
Because that's the thing. It's like it doesn't matter if they're a girl, they still need to know the same facts of life. Like
yeah,
there's probably a couple of like female specific ones they need to know, but it's at the end of the day, like all of the things a parent can teach like their son, they need to teach their daughter as well, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So okay, so I'm gonna get into it, okay? This is me being very harsh. So tell me in the chat. I'm gonna get into the whole how I feel about Neelix in this episode because like
Okay, lay it on
we see
us.
a lot. We see a lot of Neelix's character in this episode, and these are all examples of why I don't like him as a character and why I don't think we should be rooting for him. Like the way he's written is he's meant to be the outsider, he's meant to be the data, he's meant to be the Spock, he's meant to be the Odo maybe of like the not maybe the Odo, but he's meant to be that member of the crew who's like I'm an outsider looking in, but also so is Kez. It's a difficult one,
The wild
but it's the
card.
fact, yeah, like
Yeah,
but what we see in it is like obviously we can talk about space nuns all the time and about the idea of like uh yeah the idea for how he is dating such a very young child, even by her own species thing, even though he declares it. He goes, hey, you're young and naive, and stuff like that. And then she's acting like a child, and you're like, and you're in a relationship with this person when you're like in your 30s, 40s. It's awkward. But anyway,
mm,
but in this episode, we see how jealous he is, where he's jealous of Tom Paris without anything being happened. How controlling he is, where he's like, "Hey, I don't want you talking to that guy. I don't want you doing this, and you've got to do things this way." He's massively overprotective, but that's the
have
same thing.
a
He's over
have a great recording session. Recommendations. Talk to you soon.
have
Thank you
fun
very much.
recommendations. But yeah, he's overprotective, he's overbearing, he has no respect for her whatsoever. There is even a scene where she just goes, you need, like, oh, you need to respect that I'm not going to do anything with Tom Paris. You need to trust me. And he goes, of course I trust you. I just don't trust him. But he doesn't trust her at all. He's so paranoid about it. He's angry. He's manipulative. Like the whole bit where he gets kicked out of sickbay and then goes to Janeway and then just goes, how would you feel, if you knew that one of your crew members had been kicked out of sickbay by a hologram? And whatnot. And you're just going, so he's basically going, hey, I got told off for being a dickhead, and now I'm going to manipulate my way into the doctor getting told off so that I
Yep.
can get back to making sure that I'm overbearing on this child and making every decision for her and controlling her entire life. I mean, he's physically abusive to her. He's literally grabbing her and shaking her and picking her up and taking her to sickbay and stuff. He overreacts about everything to the point where she just doesn't trust him with information. Like she hides things from him because she knows he's going to go nuts about them. Like
Yeah.
that
That's
is
not
a
a good
toxic
relationship.
thing for a
Yeah.
relationship. Yeah, he's like he doesn't listen to anything she says where she's like, hey, I need this or this is how I'm feeling. He immediately chucks it out the window and goes, yeah, that's cool, but this is how I'm feeling about this, and I know you're in pain, but I can't afford for you to get pregnant, so you know he's insulting to her. He's like, oh, you're so young and naive, like, but the worst thing is he ends up like he ends up being sexist in the episode by being like sort of, oh, you're just a woman, you don't know what a man wants to do with you kind of thing. And it's like, and then also like, oh, I don't want a girl, what would I ever teach to a girl? And you're just sort of going, and obviously Tuvok putting him right, but it's also like, and this is a stretch for me, I'm afraid, but like I class his relationship to the doctor as racism in terms
Yeah.
of like he's like, what's the line he says? Wait, hold on. He says like, yeah, he refers to the doctor as the hologram,
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, oh, if a hologram was doing this, all you need to do is replace hologram with the N word, and then suddenly we're back in like 1930s, like America
But it
kind of
is
thing, and being like,
discriminatory. It is
yeah,
incredibly discriminatory because the Doctor is part of the crew. They, you
yeah.
know, they
But
they
Neelix thinks he's
are.
better because of
Yeah,
his upbringing or what he like physically is.
yeah.
And it's weird that all of this comes out in one episode, and that the writers thought we would be rooting or sympathetic to Neelix in this. And that's what's so shocking, that I'm
It
genuinely
backfires
just like,
massively. Yeah,
yeah. And after this episode, watching any other episodes with Neelix in, where he's like, oh, I'm a jokey character and the kids are going to laugh at me and buy toys of me and stuff, and you're just sitting there being like, you're literally an overbearing, like controlling nonce. I I can't think of anything worse as a setup, you know?
it just it it makes me uncomfortable. It make
Wait, this is the thing, Space Nuts. Space Nuts pointing out that even in Red Dwarf, the hologram was the laughing stock. But in Red Dwarf, it's because he was a dickhead. You know, like the
yeah.
whole point of Rimmer is a dickhead. Like holograms in general aren't treated like a laughing stock. Like it's not a racial issue in Red Dwarf, because you know when they meet the holo ship and stuff, and they're like, they're all chummy with them. They're like, oh cool, you know, you're holograms, but you're fine. It's only Rimmer is the laughing stock because Rimmer himself is a dickhead.
But
So
even
that's the
in
distinction between, you know.
even in Voyager, there is that discrimination against holograms, specifically the EMH Mark One, which is what the Doctor is. And in the
not
later
people, apparently.
and in the later episodes, we see that they're just used for dilithium mining. And I would be very interested to see, which probably won't happen because the writers, if they approach the subject of granting the Doctor, you know, the same rights as a living being in Starfleet Academy. You know, it would be like 700 years later, but he is a living being with thoughts and feelings. He's you know, he's evolved beyond his programming. He's essentially a holographic data in that sense. And I would just love to see him get the. I mean, he gets respect in Voyager, but the earlier seasons, as you see, he's just treated as a tool. He's discriminated against.
Wonderful episodes though about that in Voyager.
Yeah,
like they're some of the best ones where we have the Doctor basically going, "Hey, holograms should have rights." So we do get into that wonderful politics of it.
But I want to see it addressed. If they are going to take, oh God, if they're going to take us to the 32nd century again, approach that subject. Let us see his fight to have the same rights as a living being. If he is part of Starfleet Academy, if he's a lecturer or whatever, does he have the same rights and freedoms as a living being? You know, is that what they, you know, are they treating holograms the same as they treat any other member of the Federation? Do you see what I mean? Because that was the one thing that really got me with that episode, you know, where he was like, a hologram can't have the same rights because, you know, to publish his novel because he's just a hologram. And then you just see them in the dilithium mine and they're passing the novel over. It's like the seed has been planted, but nothing happens with it.
But that is it is that shame. And then when they do get to that potential situation where they had the opportunity to go, let's make a thing about this in Picard, they change it to androids.
Yeah,
like they could have. It was
because you can either go one or the other. Yeah,
they could have gone with Picard and gone like, hey, okay, actually the holograms have started rebelling, and it's all because of the Doctor's thing. Like, you know, like they're, you know, them.
Or it could have been all artificial beings
and stuff like that.
Yeah, it could have been all of them.
And instead it goes, oh well, we want to work with androids this time because we need to put data in somewhere, and kind of just made it android. And it was a missed opportunity, but that's exactly what Picard seasons 1 and 2 were.
Any further notes for Elogium?
But are we really getting through this quickly? Are we that tired? Yeah.
We're not tired. I genuinely do not like this episode. I really don't, guys.
I think it's this thing. Like I just all I feel like talking about is the relationship between two Neelix and Kez, and just when you see these warning signs, and anyone who's been in a relationship, and I know you don't see them while you're there, but these warning signs where you just go like, what the hell? Like, we literally have a scene where like Kez has locked herself in sick bay
Yeah,
and is refusing to come out, and Neelix tries to coax her out by treating her like a child. It's like, oh, sweetie, oh, you can eat anything you want. I promise I won't shout at you anymore. And it's like she's not 4. Well, she's even younger than that technically.
she's
But it's
one.
this idea of like, yeah, but it's this idea of like he's acting like she's a child. Like that's how you would coax a child out of something, not like a full-grown woman, which is what she's meant to be in the show. But and the fact that like she doesn't trust him, she won't go to him for support or anything. She turns to the doctor like a holographic being to point out how they are more human than human effectively, and doesn't go to Neelix, who should be her rock, like who. The same way that we have all these people that won't talk to their partners about stuff that's bothering them, and you just go, well, what's the point of having them if you can't trust them, if you can't confide in them, like it's that, and yes, there are some things, but like, but the fact that Janeway is the one who ends up sort of coaxing her out of it and listening to her and actually hugging her, and the reaction that Kez has is so childlike, where she literally dives
Yeah.
into Janeway's arms and cries, and it's such a weird juxtapose though of going, okay, we're gonna keep pointing out how Kez is a child, and then in the next scene have her deciding whether she wants to have sex with Neelix. Woof. That is oof. Oof. Yeah, I don't it makes me very uncomfortable, the whole
It's this
situation,
is
but it's
this is possibly in the 2 years, 2.5 years we have done Trekking Up North. This is possibly the most difficult episode we have reviewed. We can't make a joke about it. We don't find
we
it funny.
could.
We could, but this would be the last episode. We we just it genuinely makes us uncomfortable.
Well, how does the chat feel? How does everyone in the chat feel about this episode? I know that I'm getting very passionate about this and being like, oh, it's shocking and stuff like that. But are the things that I'm saying things that have gone through your mind when you're watching it, or is it all like you were just like, oh, it's just, a little episode and it's not really
I'll do
problematic
a
at all?
quick
Like
poll. I'm gonna
yeah,
do a
that's it.
quick poll. Yeah.
Like how maybe I don't know what the poll is. Like how is this episode The problem is I think everyone's gonna say yes if we do it as is it
No,
problematic? But
I'm gonna say
it is problematic, but it's all are we okay with where it goes with it?
is
I mean,
Elogium
it's
as bad as we say it is?
yeah. Is Elogium a bad episode? Well, that's gonna be it. But yeah, I think that you know what? I wasn't sure when to mention it, but one of the things that really freaks me out in this episode, and it only freaked me out this time because I know that I've been bothered by this episode in the past, and that's why I put it into the Double Wheel of Shame. But at the end of the episode,
Oh, that's screwed up. Sorry, I'll do that again. That
oh,
is
you fucked it up.
there's no
Oh.
holes there. Sorry, go on.
You're allowed one mistake a year, Goodwill.
Not me, it's YouTube. Anyway, talking.
But yeah, but it's the bit that after they've decided and Kez has basically gone, hey, you know what? I don't want to have kids. Right now, I'm not in a space, and she makes a mature decision that she has to make herself. Like no one is able to guide her or help her, and she makes that decision herself. And then Neelix does a guilt trip on her. She goes to Neelix in the mess hall, and the lights are dimmed and stuff, and he's cooking, and she's just like, "Oh, I hope you're not upset that I decided not to have kids." And he's just like, "Oh, well, it's not about me, but it's about me." And he's just like, "Oh, I would have just, loved to have had a daughter." And then she goes, "Or a son," and he goes, "No, a daughter, definitely a
Yeah.
daughter, one who looks just like you." And I'm sorry, but if you're like, hey, I want to have a child that looks exactly like the woman I'm having sex with. I don't
Sorry,
know. Maybe that's me not
I'm
being like
looking. I'm looking.
hetero.
I'm looking for a review. I'm going to try and find a review of this episode from
Yeah,
'95.
try and do it. But
Space No.
while I'm gathering up,
Is this maybe a product of its time? No, no.
you can see it's covering everything.
Star Trek Voyager Elogium.
That's the question, Space Nut. It's the idea of like, with most stuff we go, is this a product of its time? And it was the 90s. We weren't being progressive about that. We weren't. This is one of these episodes where I just go, no, even at the time, like if you went in this direction with it, you're still like, why did you put that bit in? Like, why did you go, hey, look, like there's nothing wrong between Neelix and Kez's relationship, but also let's keep reminding ourselves that Kez is a child and is meant to be a child. And you're just going like, yeah,
Okay,
I don't know.
so here we go.
Even at the time,
is this a product of its time? Reviews for Star Trek Voyager's Elogium episode were largely negative in 1995, with critics citing a dull plot, awkward handling of the Ocampan reproductive cycle, and an unsatisfactory portrayal of Kes and Neelix's relationship. Though Jennifer Lynn's acting as Kes was frequently praised, some reviewers found the episode's themes of fertility and teenage pregnancy inappropriate for appropriate for an early season, but ill-fitting for a later one, while also noting it failed to utilize the characters effectively and contained significant scientific plausibility issues. So even in 1995, they had an issue with this.
Yeah, I think, I fully agree with that. That's pretty much what we've said, like in this one, of going, this could have been handled much better, but also, how are we supposed to like these characters when we're seeing how horrible their relationship is? The fact of the first scene with Neelix where he's jealous about Tom Paris and whatnot. That, oh my God, that gave me sort of like flashbacks of bad relationships and stuff.
Yeah, the dynamic.
Christ.
The dynamic between Neelix and Kes, with its age difference and Neelix's territorial behavior, was deemed creepy by multiple critics. Yeah. 30 years ago, they thought this. 30 years ago. And I know it was in the 90s, and I know it was a different mentality, different attitude. They thought the same thing. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Yeah, this is when we have so many episodes that didn't see the light of day because they were like, oh, well, we can't do that kind of thing. And yet this one got greenlit.
This is the one that passed.
Actually got to production, and it's very weird. I saw something, but I didn't want to mention it because I wasn't sure if it was true or not. But I saw something online where they were saying that this was an episode that was written for season 1. This was meant to be a season 1 episode, and but it got pushed to season 2 because they did
do away with it. Do away with it.
Of like, but does it sit any better in season 1? Like,
no.
Like I say, I feel like it should have been a season 3 one and led to their relationship breaking down and having that as a bigger plot. Yeah. But then the idea of Ensign Wildman, it would make more sense, obviously, if they were like, hey, rather than months, it is a full year, and Ensign Wildman, has only been like just at DS9 a couple of weeks ago,
The poll results are in. Oh,
we do have someone saying no, which is good. We like a bit of a
diversity. Okay.
75% though says that it is a bad episode.
Do you have any notes?
You really want to get over this?
I really want to move on.
One thing I want to say, I do think, and this is me just being a dickhead, so feel free to hate me in the chat, but I'd say a running theme throughout this is kind of toxic masculinity, and that's a very buzzword nowadays, but it's like I say, we have Chakotay acting in his particular way of going, hey, we need to sort of regulate people's actions, and we need to think about like this situation and whatnot, and the fact that he is kind of nudging towards we should stop people fraternizing, which I think is problematic.
Yeah.
And then you also have like Tom Paris, and this is the thing: Tom Paris is a pervert. Like we know that from his character that he is like a sort of happy-go-lucky lad kind of thing, and a what do you call it? Lad's lad kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he isn't in this episode. Like he has a little quip at the beginning about sort of, oh, I would have liked to have watched those people kissing, and you're like, fair cop, you can kind of, it's a bit creepy, but you can kind of look over it. But the
Compared
fact
to the
is,
rest of
like,
the episode, that's tame.
oh yeah, but he's
Yeah.
treated like a creep, and so it kind
Yeah.
of goes like, hey, he's another member of the crew who's particularly dodgy. But then you also have a Neelix we've gone into, but the creature, like the fact of like what they do in the subplot line is that these creatures that they fly around with in space are all female, these small ones, and they turn out to be sexually attracted to Voyager because of the emissions from its warp nacelles. So they latch onto it thinking, oh, well, we can mate with this kind of thing. And, this is like a sort of stud or something. And then another creature comes along, a much bigger one that they determine to be the male of the species. And then it starts attacking Voyager. It starts doing a sort of a fight for, oh, what's it called?
Asserting dominance.
Yeah, asserting dominance to go, hey, women, you should get with me because I'm tougher than this other male kind of thing. And it starts attacking Voyager. And a lot of the plot is them working out, like, how do we stop this happening? What do we do? And then what has to happen is Voyager has to uh,
It has to
become submissive.
it has to essentially show its belly.
Yeah, it has to be less masculine. So they make it seem like Voyager is blue, which is what these species do. If they go blue, then they're basically sort of showing submissiveness, and then it rolls over, and that shows that, and then it means that all the women just suddenly go, "Oh, it's not masculine anymore. Okay, we will leave Voyager and attach onto the bigger
Yeah.
one." And it's that kind of thing of going, hang on, like, and but the crazy thing is though that even the crew of Voyager, before they do that, even like Balana and Tuvok are all saying we should just attack these creatures. If they're attacking us, we should blow them all up. And
Yeah.
Balana, I know Balana is half Klingon, but in this episode, she is way too aggressive, way too quickly. Because I think the first line she has in the episode is, "We should start shooting them," and you're just going like, okay.
But even then,
And
Tuvok
I don't know, all
agrees.
of it just seems. Well,
But
Tuvok does eventually, but he
yeah,
is a security officer, so
yeah, but
I'm
then
not going to
it's for
forgive him for it. But
Janeway of all people. It's for Janeway to go. No,
she
we
started shooting.
she this was before she got the thirst. Mm.
Yeah, but that's it. I see that as a running theme throughout it as well, and it's. But yeah, anyway, you are tired of talking about this. I have said enough about it, but
That has been
I'm glad we got this out the way. But bloody hell, this was a difficult one.
that
What are we
has
doing next?
been that has been our review of Elogium, and I am so glad that we have got that out the way because I have put that off for so long. I fled the country. I got 2 jobs. I couldn't, man. I couldn't. I grinned and bared it. But we have done it. We have cleared another episode from the double wheel of shame. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers, we have a new challenge. The challenge will decide our fate on whether we spin on the double wheel of honor or the double wheel of shame. So, without further ado, we are receiving an incoming transmission.
Incoming transmission.
Please be easy. Please be easy.
An easy one, bloody hell.
Okay, trekking up north, here's an easy one for you. Who directed the most episodes of all Star Trek? I hope you can figure it out. It's not that hard.
Oh. Fuck. See, I'm kind of going like this must be an easy one for you. That's what I was hoping when I heard it.
It's
I was
between
just
two
this
people.
Must be easy for you.
It's between two people. Now I know Bobby McNeil did a few, but for me, I believe up until recently. That was quiet. Sorry, what was the question? Was that too quiet? I'll play it again.
No.
Okay, trekking up north, here's an easy one for you.
Can't get it any higher.
Who directed the most
I've heard that
episodes
before.
of all Star Trek? I hope you can figure it out. It's not that hard.
That was a full volume. Who directed the most episodes of Star Trek? Is what Chris
I thought it was
directed.
wrote.
No, who directed the most episodes of Star Trek? Thank you so much for Chris for submitting that challenge. I apologize that it was quite. My volume was off the scale. So it is between LeVar Burton and Jonathan Frakes. Now,
Really?
I believe it's Jonathan Frakes because
I don't think it's one of the big hitters.
He's recently just directed a few Strange New Worlds episodes, so he's pipped to the post. I think LeVar had about 30 episodes that he's directed.
Yeah, but this is the thing though, who directed the most? And we're not saying from like the fancy people like Jonathan Frakes and like the actors and stuff. We're just saying in general. I don't think it's either one of them.
Do you not
Like, but
think?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna
Okay.
flaunt the pips. I'm gonna flaunt the pips. I'm going to say Jonathan Frakes.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Jonathan Frakes. Off to Google because we didn't get the answer.
Yeah.
Who has directed?
Remember to check the date on any post that you do. Obviously, if it's like 20 years ago, then that will be a different answer.
Yes!
Is it?
Yes! Jonathan Frakes has directed the most Star Trek episodes, surpassing LeVar Burton. Ooh!
Whoa! I wouldn't. I have totally failed this because I did not even think either of them were there. Oh. We
Do you know what that
spin
means?
on the Goodwill.
Do you know what that means? We are receiving an incoming transmission.
Incoming transmission.
Welcome everybody to not the double
Change
wheel.
that wheel.
I'm doing
Change
it.
that
We are
wheel.
not welcoming the double wheel of shame. We are
We get to do a
welcoming
good one.
the double wheel of honor. The double wheel of it's been so long. It looks so beautiful. You look hydrated. You look moisturized. You look in your own lane, double wheel. You look nice. Are you single? Would you like a drink? Would you like an amuse-bouche of cocktails?
An amuse-bouche.
An amuse-bouche. Would you like a charcuterie? Oh my god, my back end fell out. Right, welcome everybody, because it has been a hot minute. It has been the hottest of minutes since we have been graced with the double wheel. Welcome to the double wheel of episodes. If you are a new viewer to Trekkin Up North, first of all, welcome. Secondly, the double wheel of episodes contains our best episodes and our worst episodes. And Science Officer Synoiz, the clever little geesian that he's done, he has devised an algorithm to separate the good from the bad, and the ugly can just piss off. So we have the double wheel of honor, and we have the double wheel of shame. Can you guess what Elogium was on?
I put it on the wheel of shame.
But
That was a
for
manual choice.
next week, why did you die?
Shut up,
Why?
Goodwill.
Connect. For next week's episode, we get to spin the double wheel of honor, and whatever it lands on, first of all, we must shout at the top of our lungs, double. You must comment in the chat, double. You must comment below, double. You must join our Discord server and scream, double. You must throw a rock into your neighbour's living room with the word double wrapped around it. You must find every pigeon in the high street and tape the word Dabo and send it in every direction that you can conceivably think of to let the world know that the Dabo wheel has landed. Science Officer Synoiz, what are you looking forward to from the Dabo Wheel of Honor?
It's been so long, I have forgotten what's in there. But I know Duet is in there, so
Yes.
I'm going for Duet. I'm going for Duet. It is probably my favorite episode of Trek, I think.
I am going to say I want an Enterprise episode, because if we land on an Enterprise
What a
episode...
surprise.
Shut up. If we land on an Enterprise episode, it means two things. One, I get to wear my awesome Enterprise jacket. And two, we will have our first guest of season 3 of Trekking.
Bloody
up
hell.
north. I know. And do you want to know what's even better?
No.
He
not
was
really,
in Enterprise.
no.
Wow, it's Scott
Me just-
Bakula, but
Me
fine.
just raining on my
wow,
just raining
Wow.
on your parade.
wow.
No, that's so cool.
He's no Tim Russ, is he? Shut up.
Imagine if you were actually like that. You're like, oh wow, how exciting!
Imagine
Yeah,
if
we
I
are
got
very
Tim Russ.
excited about the prospect.
Imagine if I got Tim Russ next week and we're reviewing an Enterprise episode.
Imagine if we. I like the idea of getting Tim Russ and be like, so Code of Honor then.
Oh no! We're gonna get Terry
still-
Farrell. We're gonna get Terry
yeah.
Farrell to review Threshold. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh God!
Terry Farrell reviews Threshold. I believe the quote will be, "What the fuck is this shit?"
Misusing guests would be the best thing in the entire world.
I mean, that is our bread and butter, man. That is our bread and butter. When we got Mark on for the first time, the first question I said is, "Do you like pie?" Right. Without further ado, I am about
Okay,
to.
let's do this.
Wow, that is a big window. I'm going to shrink that down because that just filled my entire screen. Right. Without further ado, I'm going to spin the double wheel in 3, 2, 1. Oh!
Dabo!
Dabo!
Wow!
Yes!
I don't know why it's messed up and it says balance of terror there, because it's not. It's what our
Yes!
little girl's made
Oh, really?
Which-
Oh,
of. No Van review. I will double check why that's happened. But either way, Dabo, what our little girl's made of, which is very, very relevant to what we've just been reviewing, which is Strange New Worlds, season 3, because this is the episode where Roger Corby comes back and we see what happens to him.
Welcome everybody to welcome everybody to Star Trek: The Original Series, Season 1, Episode 9. What little girls are made of. The synopsis for this is as long-winded as my hair. Nurse Chapel's long-lost fiancé is found, along with his androids.
That is pretty long-winded.
That is very long-winded. That is very long-winded. This
But it's great.
is
This is
Oh.
the conclusion to Roger Corby and Nurse Chapel, and Nurse Chapel doesn't really get anything else to do in Trek.
Oh,
after this, I
we
don't
get
think.
Roger Corby, we get the Kirk dildo, we get Lurch from the Addams family, we get Kirk semi-naked spinning round on a lazy Susan. What more could you want? Oh, the original series.
I'm also very proud that this was obviously, as you know, I'm not a massive fan of the original series, but this was my entry into the Dabo Wheel of Honor. And I'm quite proud
Really?
of myself putting an original series episode, because we know how I feel about Balance of Terror, because I'm not a fan of that currently, but I'm open to changing my mind.
Computer,
But, yes.
computer, take us back to two-person mode. Computer, I have told you, stop going on about Conway Twitty. Stop it. It is not funny. We will get a license strike and I will not be able to earn pennies. Stop it. So next week on Trekking Up North, or whenever the hell we decide to record, because we are so incredibly busy, sad, and depressed, we will be reviewing what little girls are made of. I'm
what
very
are
excited.
little girls made of?
What are little girls made of? What are little girls made of, chat? Do you want me? Shall I create a poll? Maybe not. That has been...
Neelix has been close enough to find out, I think.
Neelix,
that's what we've learned from this episode.
Neelix is on a flight manifest somewhere, and I'm convinced of it. That has been our review of Elogium on this week's episode of Trekking Up North. Science Officer Synoiz, are you doing anything on the side?
I'm not. I really should be, but I'm so incredibly busy at the I'm off to Hartlepool for Hartlepool Folk Festival tomorrow, and I have to
My
host
deepest
a
sympathies for
cabaret and stuff.
Hartlepool.
And it's a wonderful event, but you know when you just don't have any petrol left in the engine. I've been in drag 4 times in the last 7 days, which is not normal for me at all. And then I'm in drag tomorrow, and then in drag next week, and yes, it is difficult times. And also I've had to power through getting my album released, because we are Yes, we have the 4th and final EP is out on Monday. So if you go to synoiz.com/horrors on Monday, that'll take you there. And then 2 weeks after that, hopefully, we're still up in the air, we will have the full album getting released. Like the full 25-track album will be out then. So exciting times, you know? But yes, I will be posting about that in the Trekking Up North Discord if you are interested in listening to more of that. But yes, so I will not be streaming tonight, even though I do want to. I also need to finish some stuff off and get to bed. So yes.
Yes, I will be streaming sometime next week, and then I've got a little bit of shore leave coming up, so I'm going to be streaming during the day for longer, so I can annoy you all. And coming very soon to Trekking Up North's YouTube channel, Captain Goodwill will be playing some classic Star Trek games live on YouTube. So I'm going to start with ironically, Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. It's fantastic because you can pretend you don't like Naomi Wildman.
I managed to get through this whole episode without mentioning the horror that this episode sets up, of like why the episode doesn't just end with Janeway kicking Ensign Wildman in the stomach, just to be like, I've seen the future, and Naomi Wildman's not allowed to happen because
of
blight upon later seasons.
I can't believe you just said that.
It's Janeway. She's bloodthirsty. That's
she is not going to hoof an ensign.
Just hoof an ensign out of her office. Just like, you're pregnant. There.
Oh yeah, I could just imagine just someone on the bridge and just saying psh, and then an ensign flying across the bridge. Yes. So
I just love how horrendous that scene would be. It's like, you know, Tuvix was nothing.
Tuvok is just like at the console. He just goes. So yes, I will be starting to stream on YouTube, on the Trekking Up North YouTube channel, and I will be starting with Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. I, of course, will be on Twitch. You can find all of our details, all of our links down in the description below, as well as our friends in there. I do need to update the links. I do apologize. It's on the list. the list is
Is it the same one as Neelix is on? Release the list. Someone, I'm sure, I don't know, was it on the Trek North Discord where someone had photoshopped that picture of Epstein, but with Neelix in it? Yeah, I saw that in passing. I was like, oh, the internet. Oh no. It's so we're laughing about it, but fucking hell, like
We're laughing about
bleak.
it because we can't post it on here.
Yeah.
Join the Discord to find it. But yes, that has been our review of Elogium. I have been Captain Goodwill. He has been Science Officer Synoiz, the majestic Geesian from the planet Honk. We are aboard the USS Adequate. Join us, won't you, on the Discord server? But until next time, I want you all to take care of yourselves, look after each other, live long and prosper, and as ever, on Trekkin Up
Have you
North.
ever seen such fascinating striations? Striations? Miles?
Sorbet sucks.